No voice.
No,
That's okay.
No voice. Huh?
Outside, not voice. It's okay, it's causing...
For you.
Yeah, for me. I will put that on.
Surah AnNisaa, verse 102, 103, 104 onward. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا كنت فيهم فأقمت لهم الصلاة فلتقم طائفة منهم معك وليأخذوا أسلحتهم فإذا سجدوا فليكونوا من ورائكم ولتأت طائفة أخرى لم يصلوا فليصلوا معك وليأخذوا حذرهم وأسلحتهم ود الذين كفروا لو تغفلون عن أسلحتكم وأمتعتكم فيميلون عليكم ميلة واحدة ولا جناح عليكم إن كان بكم عرض مطر أو كنتم مرضى أن تضعوا أسلحتكم وخذوا حذركم إن الله أعد للكافرين عذابا مهينا. When thou, O messenger, are with them and standest to lead them in prayer, let one party of them stand up in prayer with thee, taking their arms with them. When they finish their prostration, let them take their position in the rear, and let the other party come up which hath not yet prayed, and let them pray with thee, taking all precautions and bearing arms. The unbelievers wish, if ye were forgetful, if ye were negligent of your arms and your baggage, to assault you in a single rush. But there is no blame on you if ye put away your arms because of the inconvenience of rain or because ye are ill. But take every precaution for yourselves. For the unbelievers, Allah hath prepared a humiliating punishment. فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُمُ الصَّلَاةَ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِكُمْ فَإِذَا اطْمَأْنَنْتُمْ فَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. When ye have performed the prayers, remember Allah standing, sitting down, or lying down on your sides. But when ye are free from danger, set up regular prayers, for such prayers are enjoined on believers as stated at stated times. وَلَا تَهِنُوا فِي ابْتِغَاءِ الْقَوْمِ إِن تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ فَإِنَّهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ كَمَا تَعْلَمُونَ وَتَرْجُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَرْجُونَ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. And slacken not in following of the enemy. If ye are suffering hardships, they are suffering similar hardships, but you hope from Allah what they have not. And Allah is full of knowledge and wisdom. Now these verses are about Salatul Khawf, the prayer of the fear, the prayer in the battlefield. How to offer this prayer? One way is given in these verses. The way which is given here is that when they are facing the enemy, so enemy is in front of Qibla, and at the time of the prayer, one party comes to the Prophet ﷺ and they pray with him. Now this party consists of two lines. What happens? Both lines stand behind the Prophet ﷺ with their arms in their hands. And they go in ruku with their arms in their hand as well. But when they go for sajda, only the first line or the first row goes into sajda. And the second row, they still stand guarding them with their arms because they are facing the enemy. Now, when the first row finishes their first rak'ah and they stand up from their sajda, then they go behind, and those people who are in the second row first, they will come in the first row. And now they will pray, both of them they would pray with the Prophet ﷺ, except that when they go for sajda, the same position. Now the people who are behind, they will remain standing with their arms in their hands. And the first row, which was second row in the beginning, they will go for sajda. Of course, in this case, first row has only one qiyam and one ruku and no sajda. So it means that they have to compensate their first rak'ah by doing the sajda by themselves. In the same way, when the first row retreats to the second row, again they will miss one sajda with the Prophet ﷺ, one rak'ah with the Prophet, two sajda, so they have to compensate it later. That is one way of Salatul Khawf, only when you are facing the enemy, because you can't turn away from the enemy to a side and start praying there while you are still threatened by the enemy. Now Prophet ﷺ has prayed this Salatul Khawf several times in different ways. This is why we have different reports in Hadith. This one which is mentioned in Al-Quran. But there is some other ways. For example, the Prophet ﷺ once, what he has done, one party has prayed with him one rak'ah. After finishing that rak'ah, the Prophet ﷺ was still standing for the second rak'ah, but these people, they have retreated towards the enemy lines to fight them. And those who were on the enemy lines, they retreated back and they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they prayed one rak'ah with the Prophet, which is the second rak'ah of the Prophet. And then they sat down with the Prophet ﷺ, but they did not say salam. Before salam, they left to the enemy lines, and the first group came back and they prayed one rak'ah, and Prophet is still waiting for them in his tashahhud. So when they came to tashahhud, Prophet ﷺ prayed salam with them, said salam with them, and this is how they completed their two rak'ah. And then they went to the enemy, the second group came back. Now they have completed their second rak'ah by themselves, because Prophet ﷺ has already said salam. That is another way. Still, the third way, that Prophet ﷺ prayed one rak'ah with one party, and this party completes second rak'ah while the Prophet ﷺ is still standing. So they pray second rak'ah by themselves, they say salam, and then they go to the enemy lines, and then the other party comes, they pray one rak'ah with the Prophet ﷺ, and Prophet is waiting for them in his tashahhud, because he is now in his second rak'ah. And they do their second rak'ah, and after doing their second rak'ah, they sit in tashahhud with the Prophet and say salam with the Prophet. So this is a third way of saying Salatul Khawf. Still another, that each party prays one rak'ah with the Prophet ﷺ, and then they pray the second rak'ah by themselves, and in the same way the second group comes, they pray one rak'ah with the Prophet ﷺ, and they say their second rak'ah by themselves. These are different ways which are reported in different ahadith of the Prophet. So this is why we can't say that we have to stick to one of these methods. No. It depends upon the situation itself. If you are facing the enemy, then maybe this one which is here mentioned in Al-Quran. If you are not facing the enemy, that one of those ways which were adopted by the Sahaba Kiram behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And still, if the battle is very intensive and you got no time even to pray with your Imam, then as it is reported in Surah Al-Baqarah, فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ فَرِجَالًا أَوْ رُكْبَانًا, that if you are in the state of fear, then either pray while you are standing or while you are riding. Even you are riding on your horses, you can pray at that time. And if there is no possibility to pray by standing and going to ruku and sajda, then you can just nod with your head, showing your qiyam and sajda and ruku and sajda, and this is how you finish your prayer. So it depends totally upon the circumstances how to pray it. One opinion is that because Prophet ﷺ was with them, and his prayer is, of course, is not the prayer of an ordinary imam. This is why it was obligatory for Sahaba Kiram to pray in this way. One party is coming, praying with the Prophet, then they are leaving that place, second party is coming, because they have to pray with the Prophet, either one rakah or two rakah. But that is not the case with the imam after the Prophet ﷺ. So it means that each party during the battlefield can pray behind one imam in a separate place. And there is no need that all the people should come and join one imam. They may have their several prayers. That is another opinion which is held by the scholars. But one thing which is very clear, that is the importance of the prayer. The Prophet ﷺ could have said, all right, after the battle is finished, you can pray later. But he did not do that. He said, no, you have to pray even in such a way, even while you are standing or riding, you have to pray in time. They say, what about the prayer of the Prophet ﷺ in the battle of trenches, in the battle of trenches which is known as Al-Khandaq? He was delayed in the prayer of Asr until the sun was set. When Prophet ﷺ said to these people, the non-believers, Allah cursed them, they have caused me to miss my Al-Asr prayer. So he prayed it after the sunset. So it means that you can delay the prayer? The answer to that is no. Because Salatul Khawf was given after the battle of Khandaq. So it means that time, it may be a rukhsa, it may be a leave. But after that, these verses have been revealed, there is no rukhsa at all. You have to pray it at its due time. Of course, as you know that when you are traveling or when you are in the battlefield, you can join two prayers together, Zuhr and Asr or Maghrib and Isha. But you can't delay them more than that, more than the time of the last time of Asr for Zuhr and Asr, or the last time of Isha for Maghrib and Isha. So one thing we understand from it, that is the importance of the prayer. And the second thing which we understand is the obedience of Amir, or following the Amir, even in such a situations when you are fighting your enemy. You come back to your Amir and you join him in your prayer. Third thing which we understand from this set of verses, again and again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَلْيَأْخُذُوا أَسْلِحَتَهُمْ, take your weapons with you. And then another word which is mentioned here, وَخُذُوا حِذْرَكُمْ, take your precautions. It shows that defense is so important that you can pray while you are carrying your armaments in your hands. You must not be negligent. You must have all your precautions. Only in one case it is allowed for you to place your weapons on the land, in kana bikum awan min mafarin, if it is raining, or kuntum marwa, or you are ill. So in such cases when it is difficult for you to pray with the weapons in your hands, you can lay them down. Now why do you do that? Because your enemy is always planning to attack you, to assault you, while you are negligent of your weapons. So they are waiting for you. You leave your weapons, فَيَمِيلُونَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَيْلَةً وَاحِدًا. They will attack you just like one person. That is the main reason. And the first Salatul Khawf which our Prophet ﷺ has prayed was in a battle known as Batn al-Nakhla, when Khalid bin Walid was still a kafir. And he was waiting for the Prophet ﷺ. He was waiting that let me wait until Salatul Asr time, because he knew that Prophet is going to pray Asr and he will be neglectful of war. So Prophet was given these instructions that even when you pray, don't be forgetful of your weapons, don't lay them down. So that was about Salatul Khawf. The next verse, فَإِذَا قَضَيْتُمُ الصَّلَاةَ فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِكُمْ. When you have performed your prayer, then remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you are standing or sitting, or even when you are lying down on your sides. فَإِذَا اطْمَأْنَنْتُمْ فَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ. But when you are free from danger, فَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ, set up regular prayers. إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا, because prayer is enjoined on a set time. Now in Salatul Khawf, as I have said earlier, in Salatul Khawf, the prayer is reduced. Is reduced not in its rak'ah, because it is just like traveling prayers, or even less than traveling prayers. Sometimes it is only one rak'ah. But it may be in its form and shape. It is not like ordinary prayers. You are carrying your weapons in your hands and you are praying. Sometimes you pray one rak'ah and then you leave the place and go to the front, fight there, and after fighting you come back and then you complete your rak'ah. So this is not your normal prayer. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that once you finish this prayer, then compensate. Whatever you have missed in this prayer, compensate it. How? فَاذْكُرُوا, by remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you are standing or sitting, or even when you are lying down, when you are taking rest. Just saying the zikr of Allah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Subhanallah, Astaghfirullah, Alhamdulillah. Any type of zikr just to compensate what you have missed in your prayer of al-khawf. Now, once the danger is over, then establish normal prayers. Because the prayer is decreed upon the believers in its due times. And that is also very important, that every prayer is to be done in its due time, not to be delayed. We know that it is a rukhsar, leave, to join two prayers while you are traveling. And sometimes even when you are at home, because of rain or because of any other business which did not allow you to pray the time, to pray in its time, then you may join two prayers like Zuhr and Asr together, or Maghrib and Isha together. But apart from that, every prayer should be done in its due time. It is not like your meal, that if you don't have one meal, you have missed your lunch, so you got it with your supper, or you have taken all the meals together. No, it's not like meal. Every prayer at its due time. And Prophet ﷺ was shown by Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam how to pray it. Once he prayed in the first time, in the beginning time of each prayer, and the second day he prayed it in the end time of each prayer, and then he said the prayer is in those two times. So prayer is to be done at its due time. This is what we understand from verse 103. وَلَا تَهِنُوا فِي ابْتِغَاءِ الْقَوْمِ. Don't show weakness to follow up the enemy. إِن تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ فَإِنَّهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ كَمَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you suffer hardship, so they have suffered hardship as you are suffering hardship. When as far as suffering is concerned, your enemy is tasting that suffering as well. But there is one thing which you got, they don't have. What is that thing? وَتَرْجُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَرْجُونَ. You hope from Allah what they don't hope. You hope sawab, you hope reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there is no reward for them. And when you see that your enemies, they are also facing the same hardships, so why do you run away from the battlefield? as long as you have been promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for such a great reward. And as I have said it in Friday's sermon, that in the beginning of Islam, because the faith of the believers was very strong, they were asked to stand firm and not to run away even if the enemy is 10 times more than their numbers. إِن يَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ 20 صَابِرُونَ يَغْلِبُوا 200. If there are among you 20 patient people with patience, they will defeat 200. And if there are 100 among you, they will defeat 1,000. So it means that if you face an enemy which is 10 times bigger, you must not run away from them, because that is a kabira, a major sin, to run away from the enemy in the battlefield. Then the next ayah which says, الْآنَ خَفَّفَ اللَّهُ عَنْكُمْ وَعَلِمَ أَنَّ فِيكُمْ ضَعْفًا. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has relieved you, and He knew that you got some weakness of faith. Now you are not to run away from an enemy which is twice in number than your number. If you are 100 with patience, you will defeat 200s. If you are 1,000 in number, you will dominate 2,000 of kuffar. So that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us. Now if the number is more than that, then of course, if it is one of the techniques of the war to retreat in a certain place, then you can retreat. And when we see this in the context of what is going on in Bosnia, we know that the number of the Muslim armies in some places is more than the Bosnian armies. In some places only. But because they are very short in weapons, this is why they were not able to fight them. In some other places, of course, their number was far less than the number of the Serbians. Again, they got no weapons, no heavy weapons with them. This is why they have to retreat, or they have to face the defeat. And it was said very recently by the Bosnian ambassador that we don't need persons from you. We need weapons, we need money, because we got enough soldiers with us. And he said that we have liberated 40% of the Bosnian territory with the strength or with the power which we got. Anyhow, if these people, they are given weapons, or this embargo has been lifted away from them, they say that we would be able to fight back. Now let us move to the following verses from 105 to 112. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ لِتَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ بِمَا أَرَاكَ اللَّهُ وَلَا تَكُنْ لِلْخَائِنِينَ خَصِيمًا. We have sent down to thee the book in truth, that thou mightest judge between people by that which Allah has shown thee. So be not an advocate for those who betray their trust. وَاسْتَغْفِرِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. But seek the forgiveness of Allah, for Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Now there is a story behind these verses, but as you know that the implication of these verses is general. The Prophet ﷺ is told not to argue on behalf of those people who have betrayed. So what was the story behind it? They say that in Medina there were 3 brothers from the family of Ubayriq, known as Bani Ubayriq. Their names were Bishr, Bashir and Mubashir. Now these people were very poor. They used to wait sadaqah and charity from other people to get some food. And sometimes they used to steal as well. There was another person in Medina known as Rifa'a ibn Zayd. That person got some dates, some food which he has bought from a caravan. So one of these three brothers, Bashir, came to their place at night time, and then he stole some shields and some food as well. Now what happened, because the bag in which the food was preserved was torn, in the daytime Rifa ibn Zayd and his people were able to trace the thief because of the food which was dripping out of that bag. Now a nephew of Rifa ibn Zayd, his name is Qatada ibn Nu'man, came to the Prophet ﷺ complaining the family of Bani Ubayriq. These people, they have stolen our food, our shields. Now what happened? These three brothers, they sent one of their cousins, his name is Usayd ibn Urwa, and he came to the Prophet ﷺ. He was very eloquent in his speech, and he said to the Prophet ﷺ, O Prophet of Allah, this family, Bishr, Bashir and Mubashir of Bani Ubayriq, they are very poor people, but they are very respected people in Medina. How could these people blame them? No, they did not steal anything. If there is any thief, that thief is so and so, another person known as Labid. So Prophet ﷺ was impressed by the speech of Usayd ibn Urwa, and he said to this party, Rifa'a and Qatada, you people, you are blaming these people without any justification. Qatada came back, and they were very surprised, and they said, oh, why did you go to the Prophet ﷺ? So when they were still thinking about what happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah to our Prophet ﷺ, O Prophet of Allah, we have revealed to you the book with justice, so that you may judge among the people bima araka Allah, with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam how has he shown him? Through revelation, wahi, and even through good dreams, because the word arat Allah consists ru'ya. Ru'ya means dreams. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown you out of justice, out of the truths, you should judge among the people with that truth. وَلَا تَكُنْ لِلْخَائِنِينَ خَصِيمًا, and don't advocate on behalf of those people who betray the trust. وَاسْتَغْفِرِ اللَّهِ, and seek forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is oft forgiving, most merciful. We have read this thing before as well, that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam may do his ijtihad. Before the revelation comes to him, he can do his ijtihad. Ijtihad means to give his own opinion. With what he listens, what he sees, he can give his opinion. But if that opinion is not right, at once he is going to be corrected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the difference between his ijtihad and the ijtihad of other people. Again, even if the ijtihad is done by the Sahaba Kiram Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is going to correct them as well. Because if he does not correct them, they will stay upon their mistaken ijtihad. They will do mistakes, lot of mistakes. And we have known from so many stories that whenever Sahaba Kiram reported their ijtihad to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has corrected them. Either you are right or wrong. One brother was discussing with me just yesterday the case of standing behind the Imam in rows and standing close to each other. And how do you stand with each other? Because Prophet ﷺ used to say, حَاذَوْا بِالْمَنَاكِبِ وَالْأَقْدَامِ. Before he says Allahu Akbar, he used to say, stand parallel to each other with your shoulders and with your feet. It means that when you stand in the row, your shoulder would be parallel to the shoulder of your brother, and feet with the feet of your brother. That's what we understand from the hadith. But there is another addition. Prophet used to say, وَسُدُّ الْفُرَجِ, and close the gaps. So it means that if there is a gap between one person and the other person, that gap should be closed. Wow! That you come closer with your feet to the feet of your brother. This is how you close the gap. Is this understanding, or is this understanding of this hadith right? Yes. Because we read in Al-Bukhari that one Sahabi is saying that in the prayer, كَانَ يُلْزِقُ أَحَدُنَا كَعْبَهُ بِكَعْبِ صَاحِبِهِ. We have seen ourselves that we used to come closer to our brother until the ankle of one person is striking with the ankle of the other person.